Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Lost in Space, Season 1, Episode 3. It's called Infestation, so full spoilers for the episode as always. And this episode had flashbacks to Dr. Smith, who we find out is also June, although I'll probably still call her Dr. Smith, just for consistency.
Let's just keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. And we get how she ended up on the ship in the first place, how she conned her sister, and a weird cameo by Selma Blair, I might add.
Yeah.
I was like, she's not like a random actress, she's like, you know,
Yeah,
a name.
you expect just a small name for this sort of part, don't you?
Which almost makes me think she might pop up again later, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how.
How? Yeah.
Unless there's like further back flashbacks later for her. You know, for...
Maybe, but if there is, I'm going to question them, because they're going to have something really interesting to tell me, otherwise they're going to feel kind of redundant, right?
Well, it just depends. You don't know what they're going to put in them, though.
No, I don't. I'm saying like, there could be. But right now I can't imagine what they'd be.
But there you go. Random Selma Blair cameo. So we have that, and she actually drugs her sister, steals her chip from her wrist, and some of her clothes.
Yeah.
And her sister's being kind of nice. You're a bit of a you're a bit of a wreck, but you know what? I'm leaving on the ship. I'll give you my house, my car. I'm very successful, clearly, very rich. Have it all. It's fine. I'm going off into space. And snap, she's like, nah, I'm taking everything. And then we see that she actually kills a guy once she gets on the ship.
Yeah, it's dark as shit.
Yeah, she kind of almost by accident puts him in the airlock, and then it's sort of it's like counting down, and he's like, hey, press the button, just override it. And she's like, no, I'd rather not get caught. And
she does think about it though. Like she's right next to it, and she.
What a saint! She thought about saving him.
Look, I'm just saying it's relevant because it comes up again later.
It does. Which I'll critique slightly. Well, not critique, but I will say that I don't care what she decides later. She's still scum, and I don't trust her one bit.
No, you're right. I think this is actually my biggest problem with the episode. Is it tries to make her redeemable, but instead I just find myself questioning why now? Why is this where she decides to care?
Because I don't see it as redeemable. I see it as she has a line now, okay? She's not willing to sacrifice an entire family that includes kids. Okay, that's a line. Great, she's got one. That does not make her in any way a good person.
But the problem is, she sacrificed an entire family with kids just to steal the ship to come down here. She stole their family ship. I'm like, so, and the dude in the airlock and a sister. It's kind of rough. She's sacrificed quite a lot of people. So I'm going, why is this the line now? It doesn't play for me.
Yeah, I think the difference with the other family was she never actually sees the other family. Theoretically, they could still be okay in the main ship.
Okay.
In theory, they could be. We don't know for sure if they're dead. She stole their ship so they couldn't escape. But as we hear at the end of this episode, the main ships, they've got power back. They're getting things fixed. They're dealing with stuff. So there could be survivors from various other ships that didn't evacuate. And so she's willing to kill a guy. She's willing to betray other adults. But maybe she just bonds a little bit too much with Will in this episode, which honestly did make me laugh when she's like, hey, well, it's okay to save yourself, self-preservation is nothing to be ashamed of. And he's like, no, you save other people. It's like, yeah, the kid's schooling you right here. You're an awful person. Will's been a little hero and you're just being a shithead. But the effective stuff in this episode though was when, like, right from the start of this on the ship, right, they're under the ice still. Like, the minute she starts helping clear dishes, you're like, stop it, you sleazy cow. You're just gaining points so you can betray them later. Like, you're just making yourself feel... Like, you feel dirty because you know she's just doing this to be sly. And, because at one point she's going to steal the chariot. She's going to just escape. And that's how she ends up trapped in the closet with Will.
Right, because she's told... It's like, well, she goes, oh, why don't we just, take the chariot and go, get out of here? And they're like, yeah, that's all well and good, but... not with this amount of people. Like, one or two could survive for a little bit, sure. And of course, she immediately runs off to go get some food.
Yeah, and just escape because she's awful. And she has this moment, it's almost like where she does jump back in and helps with the engine so that they can all be saved. Because halfway through the episode, the glacier breaks and they fall further down the ice. And I mean, if I'm going to critique anything, and this isn't a real critique because I like the adventure of it, but I do think that when they are escaping the glacier, when they finally get the engines turned on, that it's like the most ridiculously big, like just everything's collapsing from like like quite a distance, so they're flying for a while before they get out into air. It's just
yeah. I mean, I'm just in its defense. It's kind of how avalanches work, though, right? It's snowballs, literally, and it goes
sure,
on
but
and on.
I never got the impression that the whole thing was going to be an avalanche. So I got the impression, no, it's just going to crush the ship. I thought it was just going to be this one section, and then they're flying out at the end, and it's just like miles of like ice is just.
No, I think that's the thing, right? So they're at a crux point in the middle. And it collapses, so it kind of goes back along it, and it collapses as it goes, like an avalanche.
Okay. I still feel like we want spectacle, so it's going to be as big and ridiculous as possible.
No, it's true, but genuinely, I like that it has consequence to the decisions from last episode.
Oh, sure, no, it does. I like that too. I also like that this actually feels like a nice arc is just finished, because this feels like the Ace trilogy, and we've finished that little trilogy of episodes. It feels, and the fact that Judy by the end of the episode seems to get over her thing, because she's still kind of like suffering from the PTSD of being trapped in the ice, and she gets out of it because she actually gets into trouble at one point after the whole of the ships went down again. She's sort of trapped behind some like crates and stuff.
That's one of my favorite moments actually, is where she gets trapped and she starts panicking immediately because she's stuck, and it's it's the exact same. She can't move.
And she gets her confidence back because she gets herself out of it. She doesn't get help. She doesn't get anyone else to come down and save her. She does it herself. And that brings her back. In fact, one of my favourite little moments is that when she comes in and she insults Penny a little bit. She's like, I know, you didn't say I saved us or something like that. It's like, there, she's back. And it's just kind of, it's like almost sarcastic, but she's actually happy she's back. So there's just this nice mix of like intent behind it. And it just kind of works. So no, even actually speaking of Penny and just her continuing to win with the little one-liners, when they're all splitting up into pairs, and she's like, "I bag Will," and Judy's like, "What, really?" She's like, "Well, I want to spend time with my little brother. Is that so bad?" And then later on, she's like, "Hey, Will, your robot's going to do all the work for us, right? That's the thing."
Yep.
All entertaining. And just the general fear of the leeches, which is the main plot of the episode, of course, is that there's these big alien leech things that are feeding off of the fuel, and if they take all the fuel, they won't be able to fly out of the ice. They're not necessarily concerned about having fuel to fly into space or anything like that, because they know that the big ship can send down rescue and whatnot if they can get out, get in contact, find out what's going to happen. And when they do break out of the ice after the big action sequence, as much as I was critiquing the over-the-topness of it, it was very fun, it looked good, music blasting the main theme as they came out, which reminds me, there was an opening title sequence on this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because I was like, did I forget that there was an opening credits?
No, that was new. And Joe, what was weird about it is that I've seen this happen on network shows in the past, and even if it is usually it's episode 2 where the opening title sequence will be added to the show, because often the pilot won't have one because they'll make it before they have a title sequence, and for maybe time reasons because they used like an extra scene worth of time, they won't add one back in after the fact. Fine. And I've seen it maybe be added to episode 3 and not 2, because sometimes they'll do a double pilot that'll actually be split in half. So it'll be episode 3 that's the first one that has the title sequence. Again, fine. But for a cable or a streaming show, this is really weird that they just added it in episode 3.
It is, because they don't need to worry about time. So it's a creative choice.
It's a creative choice. And I guess if you look at this as a trilogy of episodes, which is like the trilogy pilot, is this them saying, now we're the show?
Yeah, no, the show starts here, essentially. Like, before this is a prologue.
But you know what, I'll give it this. It's got like because it's got the original main theme, and they've sort of reworked it, it actually has a proper, like, this is the opening title of a show main theme. Because I think a lot of the Netflix shows and cable shows suffer from music that's a bit too laid back for opening titles. Whereas this is the full-on heroic, main theme playing. And it kicks in at the end as the title's coming on. It's like, no, this actually feels like, I almost wish they actually did like an old school thing where you saw the actors' heads, like, as the names came up. I think that would have suited this show.
Well, that's the thing, because it's clearly an older piece of music, but it's done in a very 90s style still. With with the whole score is this 90s action.
Yeah,
style.
It's music from the 60s or 70s, but in the style of a 90s sort of composition.
Yeah.
And it's working well for me, because I think what the show's doing quite well is it's obviously it looks very good. It's big budget. It has this like sort of not gritty, but just more, just I don't know, higher value look to it and feel to it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's still a scene in this episode where John is wrestling with a tentacle thing, and it's almost this goofy sci-fi moment, and I kind of smiled as it was happening, because I'm like, it's not shying away from having these silly sci-fi moments.
Well, that's the thing. I'm starting to get the idea that this show is essentially a series of kids' B movies.
Yeah, I could see that, and I'm kind of down with that as an idea.
Me too.
Because you've got where Penny falls in the water, where we know that all the leeches are, and like he jumps down, and he actually pours fuel over himself to attract them back to him.
Come and get me.
Yeah, because the first time he gets grabbed, you're like, oh no, and then he comes up and he's like killed it with his knife. He's like, here.
She's wrestling with him.
So and I liked all that. That stuff was all good. Obviously, the robot hides Will in the closet with Dr. Smith, mainly because he can sense his fear, because he had a nightmare based on the vision of the robot killing everyone that he had when they sort of linked up before, and. Because of that, the robot actually goes and prints a gun, because there's a whole mystery, because like one of them notices, hey, someone's printed something that's unknown and we can't see what it is, and Maureen says, hey John, did you print something? And he's like, well, look, fair play, I tried to, but it wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
I tried to get a gun because we need protection. We don't know what this robot thing is. You're going to go back to his jealousy a little bit, and for whatever else, who knows what else is out there? I mean, I could be shooting eels.
No, it's a fair point. Unknown planet, gun might be useful.
But we find out the robot did it. The robot actually made it because he knows that Will's scared and tries to give Will a gun.
Yeah, I actually really appreciate this as a swerve, because I was like, convinced, much like Maureen was pretty quickly, that it was, Dr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And Smith's like, it wasn't me. And I'm like, yeah, she's probably just lying.
Which is
obviously
just an important point there. She never went through any of the training, because everyone on the ship was trained in the basics of like repairing various things in the ship because they need to.
Yeah.
But she never went through all that, because she just kind of snuck on afterwards. Yeah. But yeah. So, but no, I like the idea that the robot thinks giving the kid a gun is what's better for him. It's almost a commentary on gun control in and of itself, where the robot just thinks, oh, here's a weapon to defend yourself, and the kid's like, no, I'm a kid, I shouldn't have one of these. Let me just hide that. But of course, Dr. Smith's watching. That's what we end on. We ended her knowing there's a gun on board, which could lead to bad things, I suspect.
Almost certainly.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally Chekhov's gun.
Yes.
For later episodes, for the season. So good. So no, like you say, I like that there was consequences from last episode, because they blasted the ice so they could take the chariot out.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Last episode they were told, don't go too quick or the ice might collapse.
Yeah.
And then it didn't, and I was like, okay, fine. It was just a threat, but she always said it might. She didn't say it would happen.
Yeah.
But then when it comes in here and it does collapse, I'm like, oh, okay, this is way more interesting.
No, it is, and I liked all the survival elements. The fuel running out. It's like, okay, we need to fix things, and everything going on. I like all that stuff. And then, they get out. So we're in the forest now. We're in a new setting for next episode. We have the promise that the main ship can come and get us at some point. I presume that'll be something they'll think is going to happen for a while. And either one or two things will happen. It's never going to happen because something will happen to the main ship, or it'll happen at the end of the season, which that'll be why we get somewhere else for season 2.
Yeah, my assumption right now is there'll be complications getting to the ship. For some reason, I don't know exactly what. But that'll be one of the disasters that they have to overcome, probably at the end of the season.
Or who knows? Maybe they'll get back up to the main ship towards the end of the season, and the finale will be something happening to the main ship, and then they'll be truly lost in space because they'll be on their own, or something like that. I could see any sort of combination of that, because it wouldn't feel like a betrayal of the concept if you get to the main ship again, maybe at the end of episode 8 or something like that, and then like the final 2 episodes is like how they end up getting properly lost, where no, this is the concept of the show, we set up that they're now truly and utterly lost and alone.
That's true.
So I don't know, just guessing, but no, I liked all that stuff. John trying to bond with various kids. He kind of respects the robot a little bit towards the end. He kind of gives a little nod, like, okay,
Yeah,
You're keeping
but
him
he's still
safe.
kind of
at least.
annoyed at it for not moving out of his way.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, he could tell he wants to like just fight it at that one point when he wants to get in to get a wrench, and he just won't let him.
Yeah, and he's like, go print me a wrench. It's like, that's gonna take it out. It's like, I know, but we only got 15. I know, but go print one.
So one of the little subtle details I liked about the printer actually, when it gave us a close up of the menu, right? It said, "Oh, this thing was printed," and it said like, "Oh, default settings, high quality," and stuff. I was like, "Oh, I like this." These all feel like things that would be on the options. Like, oh, you can do it quicker, but it would be like more rough and like not accurate, and you'd have less detail maybe, which would be fine for something like, I don't know, a screwdriver where it is just kind of simple shape, but for something like say a gun, that would be like, no, that'd have to be high quality because it's mechanical.
Yeah, you don't want that to jam and misfire.
Yeah, moving parts and all the rest of it. So no, I like that. Just touch of detail.
Aren't 3D printers the best?
Oh yeah, I mean, see, once we get to the point where a 3D printer can print a 3D printer, we're golden.
Yeah.
all we need is the raw material to feed into it.
I mean, like they've come a long way already. 3D printers.
Oh, they have, yeah.
But as soon as they are, more economically viable, oh, yes.
And can maybe do more materials and that are suitable for different things. Because I'm sure, because I've heard they've even been testing them to print like kidneys and stuff to like give transplants, and it's like, oh man.
Right now it even struggles with metals. It's just got to do plastics.
Yeah, but no, it's a big thing. Like that'll be a big change in how the world works.
Manufacturing will literally it'll be a complete new revolution.
Toy companies are terrified. They are terrified. This is like physical bookstores being terrified, like right now.
Yeah, no, that's it. Because you've got to shift away from the manufacturing of a product into the specifications. That's what you've got to do. You've got to design the specs.
You can download the design of your
that's
Superman
selling.
toy.
You're selling the ability to make your own.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Shift in the world. But anyway, so. No, that's cool. But no, I really enjoyed the episode. I think it started off a little bit slow, but once it started ramping up and we got the threat and we got the danger and all the things were hitting off.
Yeah, I think it was a little front-loaded with the flashbacks. Yeah,
that's fair. I do think, again, I'm liking the characters a little bit more each episode, which is nice. So, no, all good. And I like the robot wasn't like a main feature in this episode. It wasn't like, oh, this is the robot show again. It was like, no, he has like a small subplot, but the real plot was the rest of the family trying to like solve the crisis. And we can sort of play into that. But the whole idea that the robot was acting scared for Will was because Will was scared himself. So that gives, again, Will the arc to be brave.
Yeah, it's the feedback loop, essentially. Yeah.
So that means that the robot will be more useful once Will can like get over his fears and instruct it better. So, all nice ideas. So.
Of course, there's the irony in that, is that once he's more capable, you don't need the robot to protect him as much.
Not to protect him, but it can be useful in a lot of things that maybe Will just can't physically do.
Of course.
For example, be a bullet shield, if something else is going to shoot at them.
Yeah, maybe a certain Dr. Smith.
A certain Dr. Smith, indeed. So no, I'm looking forward to episode 4, and I almost hope that given this ended up being like an arc in and of itself that kind of has an ending, has a beginning, middle, and end. We're in a new setting, new chapter of the season. I almost hope that we have that again at some point, like maybe after episode 6 or 7 that happens again, and then it's like split neatly into 3 sort of sections, which makes it very good for binge watching at a later date, because you can all watch the first 3 together because they make like a little trilogy.
You can essentially watch it as a few movies.
Yeah, so I think there's merit to that. So no, that's episode 3 of Lost in Space. So let us know what you thought of it in the comments, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link in the description. You can find that there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?